I'm Max Clark. This is 20 Minutes Max, and we've been working on updating mission, vision, values for the business. And if you've been through this and you have a secret, please let me know your secret, because it can be a challenge to actually get this and do this in a way that makes sense and actually, creates a good position and a good why. But I'm going to tell you what I've learned so far and what I've experienced on how to do this. And especially when you get into talking about values. And I read something that, values are things that you would be offended if somebody said you didn't have, or if that you lacked, or if your employee was missing. So, you can create a value statement or create your core company values. And by the way, these should be relatively short. You can't have, 20 items on values. What are your core values? And these things, if you're on EOS, the whole get it, want it, have the capacity to do it. Part of what scores your team is adherence to company values. If you're on another system, if you're following, an OKR or Matt Mosheri's method or things along those lines, mission, vision, value still applies into these things where you need to have a guiding kind of compass or index to say, given a decision process and what behavior do we expect? Do we expect you to, is our value and our core thing, ownership or urgency or communication or attention to detail or perfection, or, perfection doesn't exist, as we tell our children. What is it where if you were hiring a person and you had two candidates and one had it and one didn't, that's your decision process. Or if you're evaluating, your existing team and your staff and understanding, is your team performing and do they have what it is that you're looking for to push the company forward? What is it that, again, you would be offended if somebody claimed or called you out and said that this was lacking or didn't exist? As an aside, I grew up in scouting. I'm an Eagle Scout. When you transition from Cub Scouts into Boy Scouts, or now it's called Scouting BSA, right? Because it's not just for boys. One of the things that, we have to go through is, the Scout motto, things that have been ingrained in my life since I was, 11 years old. So, be prepared, right? Scout motto, it makes my wife crazy because, I can't get away from it. I'm sorry, I've got supplies and I want to be on early to places, and I want to have a plan, and I want to have stuff, and I want to have options. And, it's just part of my nature. Again, how old am I? I'm turning 44. I'm turning 44. So you're talking about 33 years, my entire adult life. That was beat into me from my formative years. The other thing is the Scout law, trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. I learned that 33 years ago, and not a day goes by in a situation I'm in that doesn't reflect, and kind of something just rattling around in the back of my head. So from a value standpoint, I start from a place of that. It's counter to my core nature to exist in a place where, say, if somebody were to accuse me of not being honest or having higher integrity or being kind or, helpful, like, this is a core assault to, like, the fabric of who I am as a person. It's jarring. It's like one of these things that stops you in your tracks, and it's like, it's an attack to your, it's a psychic attack on you as a person. Obviously I'm not hiring people that are, adhering to the Scout law. I do believe that there are certain levels of table stakes when you're going through and you're hiring. Like, I'm not sure that necessarily having, integrity as part of your value statement, correct me if I'm wrong and tell me how I'm wrong with this, but if you're hiring people that don't have integrity, why are you hiring them? Do you need to actually have that spelled out in your company values that we operate with high integrity? This reminds me of Google. Google for a long time was like, don't be evil. It's like, if you have to, like, have a statement to remind people not to be evil and to explain to the world that you're not evil, maybe you have to because you've got a disruptive technology and you're trying to, counter fears and perception on the market. Okay, fine. Don't be evil is great. But the joke for a long time was like, if you've got to have a statement that says don't be evil, like, what the heck is going on in there? So this is something that we're debating really actively right now and trying to figure out for us, what is our core, and when I say core, I'm talking like 3 values that this becomes the rock and the bedrock that is the way that the company and the business operates. And, it's, for me, it's pretty easy to be like, hey, look, we've got 12 values and here they are. And it's a scout law, right? You will be these things. I wonder about that a little bit in terms of, maybe your value just is supposed to be like, be a good person. Are you a good person fundamentally? You can wrap a lot of stuff into that. Are you actually explaining like what is a good person? A good person is somebody who's kind and helpful and courteous and trustworthy and friendly. And, I don't necessarily have to have brave, in that statement. And reverent doesn't really apply into that, and we want to, we want to hire people that are, they're striving to learn new things and to advance themselves and to, so maybe that's actually just talking out loud here, like exploration and discovery and learning. When I think about what we do for our clients in our business, those are really important things, right? Technology is always changing. You have to learn new things. How is business evolving? How do you apply technology to business to solve business problems and to create business leverage and scale? Maybe that becomes, part of the core values. Our core values is that we are always learning and striving for more. That's that thing where, can you apply this now to performance review? Oh, you're either are you or are you not? And anyways, I thought this was really compelling. It was one of the best examples I've seen of how to actually go about this process of documenting, mission, vision, values, specifically values for your business, and creating that and having that idea of, if you had a competitor or if you have a customer, more importantly, or if you have somebody inside of your company, what would offend you if it wasn't there? What would be, it's again, like I said, it's for me, there's no separation for me between what was ingrained with me with scouting and who I am as a person. Like, I can't really necessarily say, what was scouting's impact on my life. It just is, like, this is just part of who I am as a person. I go back to the whole, like, where our values aren't going to be like, we operate with high integrity, because, again, I feel like that's just table stakes, like if you don't have integrity, we've got to be indexing that out. We've got to be screening for that much earlier on in the hiring process, and not saying, as a value statement for the business, like, you have high integrity. Like, that's crazy to me, to come from a place of, of operating or having to actually make that level of statement. So other things become values. And when we finalize these, I'll record another video and tell you what we ended up with. And, hopefully it helps you in some way. Talk to you all soon.